Borealum. The vast Tau military complex on Kaurava II's second moon had always been intended for purposes above and beyond the current war. In a Tau-dominated solar system, this complex would become a key outpost on the Empire's border. This moon base had been named Nan Yanoi, or Sword Moon, referring to the powerful Arca cannon built there. This weapon could fire its devastating ion beam on any territory of any planet in the system. Heavy fortifications and anti-aircraft arrays were not enough for the Earth-cast architects of Nan Yanoi. To these, they added an ambitious orbital perimeter defense system, which would fire ion beams similar to that of the Arca cannon, tuned to harm only intruders and spare Nan Yanoi's infrastructure from any damage. When complete, Nan Yanoi would be unassailable. Unfortunately, the Tau stronghold was attacked before it was complete. Many systems and fortifications were not yet fully operational, including the perimeter defense system. An invasion fleet could be shot down, but they could not as easily protect against a small force from making a beachhead at one of the gaps in the Tau's outer defenses. Such a feat would be extraordinarily difficult, but it might just be possible.
We welcome your gracious presence, Aun Royu.
I see that our Earth-cast engineers have made splendid progress in constructing the Nanyanoi base station.
Yes, Your Eminence, it is nearly complete. There are only a few gaps remaining in our perimeter defenses, and they are heavily guarded until our orbital defense system is fully operational.
Excellent! And this Arca cannon you have built, quite a marvel, as I understand it.
Indeed. From this moon, we can fire on any habitable territory in the Kaurava system. Do you wish to inspect it yourself?
This is indeed most commendable.
It harms only advanced life forms, thus avoiding damage to structures and plant life. Our new base defense system is built using the same technology. Both are controlled from this location.
Space Marines, today the enemy is at our door.
What is that?
The perimeter has somehow been breached. I must attend to this. Please, Your Excellence, return to the Coalition Center.
Yes, that may be best.
Dispatch Pathfinders, locate the source of the breach, and see that they do not gain entrance and establish a foothold. Notify all Fire Warriors and Kroot Carnivore squads. Let us hope that our defenses are strong enough to hold them.
Commander Boreale took it as a personal affront that the Tau had chosen a base of operations on the moon directly above the Bloodraven's own headquarters of Kaurava II. More offensive still was the Arca cannon, which exemplified the Tau principle of fighting from a safe and tactical distance. Of course, almost anything could offend Commander Boreale, and he would have come to attack the Tau sooner or later just because they were there. General Vance Stubbs had agreed that although brazenly striking the Tau might sever any non-hostile relations for some centuries, the Tau could not be trusted in any system. Of all their adversaries, General Stubbs felt the Tau posed a singular threat. If allowed to complete their Nan Yanoi moonbase, the Tau would have an almost impenetrable stronghold, which could do great damage to the Imperium's cause. Assuaging his fears, Force Commander Boreale counseled Stubbs to place his faith in the Emperor's will. And, as it happened, the Space Marines were granted the opportunity to attack the Tau before the moon base was complete.
This is Force Commander Boreale to Central. Area secured. Deploy field command.
We copy. Dropships,
deployed.
Space Marines, put together this base and get ready to show those Xenos what we're made of.
We must find the location of our security breach. Have scouts sent. Let them scour every possible breach location and report back immediately. We will strive to discover a path to this location. They shall be sent immediately. Excellent work, warrior.
Blood Ravens, our objective is to establish a foothold. We will have to blast through these perimeter defenses and quickly.
We are under attack! Fire warriors, hold your ground! We must hold them back for as long as possible! No! They have taken the communications tower! We are unable to contact Commander Oriska!
To Commander Indrick Boreale's company of intrepid Blood Ravens, the Nanyonoi Moonbase's reliance on defense, unholy technology, and indirect fire were anathema to all they stood for. To defeat such an enemy was to prove, in Boreale's mind, that the superiority of his men could conquer all. As the commander plotted his careful strategy for the subjugation of the Kaurava system, he was troubled by the danger posed by the Tau. Their position, too close for comfort, was only one of many reasons for his unease. The time had come when Commander Boreale felt he must strike or risk the Tau's strength growing to rival that of the Imperium. Indrick Boreale saw with clear sight that his forces must strike the Tau moonbase of Nanyonoi soon, or not at all. When he arrived at the Kauravan moon, he realized how close this window had been to shutting. Had the Tau completed their advanced fortifications, their mighty base would have been nearly invincible. The Space Marines must strike, and swiftly.
Commander, the intruders, we cannot locate them. They must have breached where our comm relays are not yet operational. They are a force to be reckoned with. We must not hesitate to act. They must be stopped. We must find the intruders, and quickly. We have failed to anticipate the advanced guerrilla tactics. We must not be fooled again. We will hunt patiently, and the quarry will be ours. How many Pathfinders have we dispatched, and no news? Where did they last report from? Commander, they have all been in Sector 3 Red. Then we should direct our forces there.
The strength of this surprise attack is worrying to me, Commander. Tell me, when can we expect the fleet of reinforcements that followed my own ship?
Wise one, as you know, the warp storm has made our normal navigation equipment useless. The fleet is guided by 3 beacons within Nanyonoi. As long as all 3 signals operate, it should not be long.
This is well. I fear we may yet need these extra troops. How close to ready is this orbital defense system?
It will fire, but it is not calibrated, and security codes have not been installed.
Have it readied. That is sufficient to fire on the intruder.
But wise one, it will not fire with great accuracy. Some of our own troops may...
Then they are sacrificed for the greater good. Do as I say, and victory is ours!
The mighty, if incomplete, fortifications of the Nanyonoi moonbase had been constructed to withstand masses of invasion fleets and heavy weapons. In their many careful preparations, the Tau had not considered the sheer brutal speed of the Blood Ravens chapter. Perhaps because previous encounters with the Space Marines had not left survivors for the Tau to learn from. Regardless, the attack was so swift and so overwhelming that many fire warriors did not have time to arm themselves and die nobly in combat.
Look, Commander Oriska, they have destroyed one of the guidance beacons. This is unfortunate. Still, on the strength of 2 guidance signals, our fleet will not be greatly delayed. Commander, the attack originated in a camp extremely close to our own location. Perhaps that should be our first target. We should find their camp and remove this obstacle from our path. We should destroy it. Our sensors have identified strange energy patterns of an unknown form, Commander. They have been detected at multiple sources nearby. And what lies at these points? Commander, we are under attack! Then they have shown their hand. Good. We now know where to find them. We have received a communication from Periphery Base 9-3 Red. Have fire warriors and crew dispatched immediately. We must stop the enemy before they progress into our military complex. Right away, Commander. Commander, Predator-class tanks have been sighted on the battlefield. May I recommend neutralizing these threats at the point of origin? The enemy fights with armored vehicles. Disable their means of production, and they will have none. Do you see, fire warriors, how they use transports to quickly move their men to the front lines? If we take from them their transport factory, we take from them speed and agility. With a well-aimed arrow, the great hunter need not fight such a beast. Let us draw our bow at the source of these behemoths. The enemy manufactorums! Let us put a dent in their production. Commander, this must be the source of all Rhino tanks. It would be advantageous to remove their capacity for fighter jets. Surely they must have production facilities nearby. Fire warriors, it would serve us well to find their air factories and put a stop to these Tempest attacks. Commander, Ethereal, the orbital defense system has been activated and primed, and is now ready to fire. Is the enemy in our sights? Yes, Commander Oreska. But not all cooling systems are in place, and the cannon will overheat if fired too often. Well, fire as often as it is safe to do so. We must hold them off until our reinforcement fleet arrives. Come, it is time to drive these intruders off of Nanyanoi. Guards on patrol. Move with caution, warriors. They draw their fortitude from the great banner upon the heights. Destroy it, and our battle is half won. Fire warriors, we stand before the Guela Central Command. We are commanded to decimate the target. If we fight with skill and honor, victory will be ours. We must move with caution, for our enemy could easily have traps and ambushes planted among such ruins.
The Tau army approaches. Ready yourself, Blood Ravens.
Fools! The allies of the greater good shall always prevail! We have been sighted. Fight bravely, warriors! We must not be daunted by the madness of our enemy.
The Tau were wholly unprepared for the fury with which the forces of the Imperium assailed their moon base on Nan Yanoi. With no innate relation to the warp, and no psychers at their command, the Tau could not anticipate the many augmented powers that made the Blood Ravens such fearsome adversaries.
Commander, their tactical strength appears to be too great for our current force. How is it that they are so strong? If we had only finished construction, Nanyanoi would have been unassailable. Fire warriors! Our enemy fights not directly, but by devious means, so we must endeavor to be indirect as well. Commander, another guidance beacon was destroyed! This is a great setback. To follow a signal guidance beacon will be exceedingly difficult. We cannot expect the fleet anytime soon.
Commander Boreale, the Xeno leader, called an Ethereal, has been sighted by the Great Space Cannon.
Good. Now we know where to aim our guns.
This is a great threat. They are attempting to seize the orbital defense controls. We must stop them at all costs.
Had Commander Oreska succeeded in finishing the defenses of his moon-base fortress, the Blood Ravens might have beaten themselves bloody against its shielded outer walls. Unfortunately, the smallest breach in those walls was like a crack in a dam. Once through, Boreale's company of Blood Ravens closed the distance on the ranks of fire warriors and crushed them beneath their massive forms.
Orbital defense is ready to fire. Commander, they have taken control of the orbital defense system. They use our defenses against us. It must be retaken. See to it.
Commander Oreska!
Excellent news, Ethereal. Our fleet will not be long.
It is exceedingly good fortune. We have only to hold out until then.
You, Marine, did we get the ethereal?
No, Commander Boreale. He vanished. I don't know how.
The speed with which we crush you will be certain proof of Tau superiority.
Commander Boreale, it appears the ethereal did escape. He was seen entering the Coalition Center in the Tau Central Command.
As always, Boreale found that the cautious deliberation with which he faced the challenge resulted in prosperity and success. The Tau fought remarkably well, but their defense was disorganized and inefficient. Taking advantage of this, Boreale's forces pressed the Tau until they faced defeat.
We are under attack! Quickly, alert Commander Oriska! They have reached the Central Command! We must fight to protect our ethereal! All 3 guidance beacons taken out! Commander, is all hope lost? We will receive no reinforcements. Without a signal, the fleet must turn back. We must defeat the enemy as we are. This is the last stand. Commence immediately. We must now be prepared for the most arduous struggle.
Space Marines, attack!
Aircast! The enemy is close upon us! We require your assistance! This is our last chance! Strike at the coordinates I give you and do not hold fire for any reason!
Coordinates received. We will commence at once.
Enrouille, noble ethereal! Oh, we have lost you! We have lost all!
The brutality with which the masses of Space Marines crushed the Nanyanoi moonbase was one of the bloodiest episodes of the Kaurava conflict. It had been suggested that had the Tau completed their advanced defenses on the base, the Blood Ravens would have been easily deflected. However, others contend that few walls have ever withstood the full force of a Space Marine onslaught. With much fire and many acts of faith, the alien compound was purged. Their commander and their false saint were slain. In Force Commander Boreale was addressed to his troops following the battle. He praised the Tau for their valor in combat, and concluded with the admonishment that, without the guidance of the greater good, surely it would not have been the Tau who perished in defeat. Of course, the Tau saw their defeat differently. The tragic loss of a revered ethereal and famed military commander was interpreted after the fact as a failure to employ sufficiently rigorous methods. Having little use for static defenses, Boreale left only enough men as were required to hold their conquest, no more. The commander thought that once he had claimed the Kaurava system for the Imperium, the moon would make a fine depot for the Adeptus Mechanicus. The heroic conquest of the Nanyanoi moonbase meant the end of any true Tau threat to the Kaurava system. In fact, the breach of their technologically advanced fortress and the death of their ethereal rendered the Kaurava conflict a bitter memory to the Tau. It would be centuries before the Tau would again consider any attempt to expand into Kaurava. The sack of the moon base was a bitter lesson for the leaders of the Tau military. They saw the death of a revered ethereal and a noted commander as a terrible failure to embody the philosophy of the patient hunter. It was haste and hubris, they reasoned, that had caused the ruin of their ambitions. The Blood Ravens, meanwhile, with cold efficiency, had gathered the dying and captive Tau, Kroot, and Vespids. They were given to the Imperial Guard to practice their ghoulish art upon, in preparation for the next battle. The bodies of Aun Roir and Commander or Eska were not returned to the Tau, and neither were any prisoners of war. They would instead come to find themselves in a hell beyond imagining, in the torture cells of Segmentum Command. After the battle, General Stubbs himself graced the scene of the conquered base and presided over the vile banquet held on the night of the victory, personally feasting on the heart of the dying ethereal. The tortures and foul ceremonies performed upon the helpless Tau that were not fortunate enough to die in battle are beyond description. Within hours of the sack of Nanyanoi, the base was covered in its defenders' blood, and the carcass of their beloved ethereal hoisted upon the barrel of the Arca cannon, the one piece of the Tau base that General Stubbs did not see fit to desecrate. Before the troops, General Stubbs showed disdain for the impressive Tau fortifications and battlements. Even if the outpost had sustained little damage in the assault, it would be unbecoming of pious servants of the Imperium to show too much interest in alien and heretical technology. More quietly, however, Stubbs had many Tau artifacts and weapons secreted to Segmentum Command, knowing well that he could curry favor among his superiors if their study should reveal new insights into Tau military function. While much was looted by the Imperial Guard, General Stubbs claimed the Arca cannon for himself, planning to use the biggest guns he had ever seen to aid the Imperium. While his men celebrated, looted, and vandalized the Xeno stores, General Stubbs smiled to think of the progress he was making on an undeniably ambitious career path.